Welcome, welcome to slow flow practice this week. So we've got 45 minutes together, and today's theme is going to be all about twists. And twists are really great for stimulating our internal organs. When we're actually in the twist, often your blood flow actually is restricted in those moments. It's like a deep forward fold or a twist. Blood flow actually becomes more restricted in these areas of compression, including in the spine as well. And then once we come to the release of a twist, the idea is that it's flushed with reoxygenated blood and we can get fluid really moving a lot more. It also enables us to hopefully create a little bit more movement, lubricating the spine and the joints as well. Also in a twist, we tend to work on areas that can be quite tight in our body, and tightness in the body, as we all know, can actually bring on a sense of anxiety. So if we can attempt to release some of those sort of tight spots, hopefully we can also de-stress a little bit as well. So do whatever you can today. Feel free to stop whenever you need to, as always. We're going to get stuck straight in today. Let's take a moment just to pause. If you're comfortable closing the eyes, go ahead and do that. If it feels right for you to inhale deeply through the nose and then let it go through the mouth, do that a couple of times. Depending on what time of day you've hit that play button or have joined me here live today, just check in and observe what may be lying beneath the surface in this moment. This is your opportunity to acknowledge where you're at right now in time. We acknowledge and then we let it go. We acknowledge and we let it go. If you're comfortable keeping the eyes closed, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you might like to blink the eyes open as you bring the palms towards the heart space. You'll reach the hands up towards the ceiling and then open up a little through the heart space, maybe through the throat there. And then as you exhale, let's go ahead and twist towards your right side, bringing your left hand towards that right knee, maybe the other hand behind you to support you. Take another inhale here, and then maybe using the grip of hand and knee, you could add a little extra twist. I'm going to invite you to pause here. So I'm attempting to stay quite upright in this twist. I'm also not over using my grip in the hands, so there's a sort of kind of push-pull happening. I might pull and then see if I can sort of soften the grip but stay in that twisted shape. So again, you might kind of re-grip a little bit. Maybe you notice that you can go a little bit further into the twist and then soften the grip as much as you can but stay in the twist as much as you can. Maybe you can do that for 2 more rounds of breath. And notice if the breath has become particularly caught. Sometimes in a twist we need to rearrange kind of the movement of breath into the side ribs or back body. And then staying hold of that knee with your left hand, reaching the hand behind you, your left hand. If I had space, I would reach it out straight behind me here. Reach it up and over. So diagonally, see if you can cross. So I'm going to see if I can bring my shoulder down, the left shoulder, towards your left knee if you can. And then reach diagonally away. You turn the gaze wherever you need to here. Again, there's kind of like a connection here, still holding onto the knee if you can. Lowering wherever you can with that shoulder. Don't worry about it having to touch the knee. And then just slowly starting to look down, center yourself, and take hold, opposite hands to knees now. So you're in the center looking down. Keep hold of the grip of the knees.
And then kind of lift the back body up as high as you can there. Head is kind of relaxed here. Maybe it feels good again to exhale out through the mouth. It's like you're trying to escape those hands and knees, lifting the back body up, just feeling it into the back of the shoulders, the back of the ribs. And then slowly soften the grip and come back through neutral.
I'm going to invite you to crisscross the ankles in the opposite direction. So it'll feel a bit wacky. It feels a bit weird in my own body. I actually hate doing this. I feel extremely out of whack when I do it. And you start to notice the habits that we put our body through. That's okay. That's just what happens. Bringing hands to heart. Inhale, reach the hands up. And then you're twisting the other direction now. So towards your left side, I think it is. Take hold of the knee. Support yourself with that left hand behind you. Sit up nice and tall if you can without leaning back. And then there's that sort of gripping, twisting. And then seeing if you can soften a little bit on the grip of your hand and knee, but stay if you can in that twist. Could you pause just for a couple more breaths here? Working with that, adding on to a little extra sensation of twist. Go for one more breath in your seat. And then start to reach diagonally the hand that's behind you, your left hand, up and over, reaching it up like an arc, and then dipping down through the right shoulder towards the right knee as far as you feel like you want to go. You could look kind of out towards the side, you could look down, whatever works. Hands going in opposite directions there. Feel into the side of the ribs on the left side as you breathe. And then looking down, center yourself and see if you can grip either knee with your hands and then attempt to kind of pull away. So you're still holding on, hands and knees, back body is rounded, head can be heavy here. Let yourself breathe naturally, in and out through the nose or in through the nose and gently out through the mouth if that works. And then again, just soften the grip. From here, bring your hands out in front and your legs behind you. So onto your hands and knees. Let's work through a little cat-cow motion here. Lift the heart as you inhale, round the back body as you exhale. And doing that again a couple more times, just with the rhythm of your breath. If you want to change the shape in any way, just use your breath as your guide. If you want to exhale out through the mouth, you're really welcome. Maybe you want to even take some rotations through the rib cage or little wagtails. Maybe you want to bring the hips back in towards the heels and pause for a breath or two in a child's pose. Make it your own, this moment on your mat. And then come and meet me in downward facing dog. Feel free to move intuitively here, pedaling around, maybe lifting a leg, maybe rippling a little forwards, back, whatever you might need in this moment. And then again, you might want to come and pause, finding your way into your downward facing dog. So I'm going to invite you to bring your hands a bit closer towards your hands so that you make it, your hands a little closer towards your feet, so that you make it into a little shorter downward facing dog. You just bend the knees as much as you need here. Now we want to feel strong and strength building in our hands and our arms. You might want to bring your hands a little closer than you normally would, and then see if you can transition the weight into your left hand and reach your right hand towards the left ankle. It may be that that's impossible. It might be that you want to do this on the forearm instead on that left side. Do what you can, what you need to. And if you needed to, you could actually also bring your knees to the ground and just see if you can reach the right hand under. And maybe it's sort of dropping the right shoulder towards the ground. So I'm going to see if I can start to peel my right shoulder underneath towards the earth. The left shoulder stays a bit higher. One more breath. You holding as wherever you can on that left leg.
And then slowly return both hands forwards. Bring the hands to hip width or shoulder width, I should say, for a moment. Just take a pause. And then bring the hands a little closer again than you normally would. Shift it over to the other side. So this time left hand reaches towards the right ankle. Maybe you can start to twist left shoulder underneath the right. If you're feeling super wobbly, drop the knees to the earth. Maybe come back and join us again. Could you keep the hips towards the sky? One more breath. And then slowly return both hands forwards. Bring your hands to at least shoulder width. Take a breath in that little short downward facing, and then we'll start to walk the feet towards the hands, and then you'll continue to walk all the way towards the top of the mat and just come to pause in that dangle, in your ragdoll pose here. Let the head, the shoulders be relaxed and heavy. Maybe an exhalation out through the mouth. One more. Let go, soften the knees. So we're going to roll our way on up to stand. Take your time, stacking the vertebrae. Arms, head is heavy. A little shrug of the shoulders perhaps once you come to stand. And breathe. We're going to head straight into a chair pose from here. So bring your feet together on this one if you can. If that's impossible, don't worry, I can give you an alternative. But if you know, yeah, I can have my feet quite close and my knees and thighs together for chair, go for it. Reach the hands to the sky, inhale. Bend through the knees as you soften down, forward fold. Bend the knees again, deeper now, come through chair pose, bringing the hands to heart. So take your adjustments here, or do what you need to. So if you have the feet, the knees, the thighs together, squeeze them in. See if you can avoid sticking your bum out, your heart out. See if you can find a neutral alignment through that spine, lower ribs staying contained. Lengthening through the lumbar. On your next exhalation, we'll twist and bow towards the right side. Could you snuggle your left elbow outside of the right knee, thumbs pulling into heart space as your right shoulder lifts, the left shoulder snuggles underneath you. Now, if you're struggling to wedge left elbow outside of that right knee, you could bring it, if your feet are a bit wider, to the inside of the left knee instead. I've got the feet, knees together, so I'm bringing it to the outside. Just check in with the knees. Sometimes that left knee wants to creep forwards of the right in your twist. Could you bring the knees back to level? Take the gaze where you need it to be. One more breath. We're going to press down, rise all the way up. Inhale. And then forward fold, exhale. Bend the knees, come through Utkatasana chair pose. Let's bring the hands to heart. Just find your alignment here. Pause. Slow flow. We're not rushing anything here. See if you can sit back into the heels. Feel the strength of your legs, your core, your glutes. All right, we're going to twist and bow towards the left side. Could you see what you can do on this side? Maybe you've managed to wedge that right elbow outside of the left knee. Maybe it's had to go to the inside of the right knee. That's fine. I attempt to pull the thumbs to heart as I lift the left shoulder. And then check back in with the knees, because if you've got right knee forwards, your hips tend to sway out towards the right side. Could you keep both of those knees aligned with one another? Sit bones straight back. Last breath. We'll press down firmly into the legs through center. Rise up. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Inhale. Your choice how you might flow today. Perhaps it's just straight back to downward dog. You might want to hang out there. Maybe today it's a cat-cow or a transition with knees to the earth, chaturanga. Inhale through to cobra if that's where you're going. And let's meet downward facing dog. Meeting in your downward dog. Take a deep breath in. A gentle sigh out. A deep breath in. Gently sigh. One more. Find freedom and lightness. Lift the right leg to the sky and then place the right foot in between the hands. We drop the back knee to the earth, untuck the toes. If you need padding, double up the mat on that left side, maybe bring a blanket in. Keep the left hand to the earth. If you feel like you need a little lift, maybe you've got a block or a book you can stack your left hand on. Right hand's gonna reach up. Inhale. Come to pause here. Could that right shoulder rotate and attempt to stack on top of the left shoulder? So you're not flinging yourself really far back with the right hand. You're also stabilizing right hand on top of that right shoulder. Now, it might be possible for you to be a little lighter on the earth with the left hand. Perhaps left fingers only touch the ground, left fingertips instead of the palm. Now, for some of you, being a little higher with the left hand might give you a little bit more space here, and don't feel that you have to touch the foot, but maybe you can start to reach the right hand back. Pause here, looking back if you can with the right shoulder peeling back. If you feel like you've got some freedom here in through that back thigh, maybe you just lift to touch, or perhaps you can go ahead and grab towards the foot there. It's not happening for me. I started to get a little cramp. That is possible because you do, here we go. We do have to firm up the muscles and trigger them to lift in that posture. So you might be in the same posture that I am. You might have released the foot. Maybe you've got your right hand to the hip. Please don't worry about having to match the shape that I've come on in. You notice that it took me a moment to even configure my own body into the shape today. And then slow and steady, lowering the foot. I've tucked the toes in preparation. Bring the right hand to the earth. So we'll go ahead and lift our way up into a high lunge. So as always, slow flow, taking your time here. Slowly rise up. Come and meet me in our crescent lunge. Nice and tall through the spine. Strong and steady through the feet and the legs. Check in with the pelvis and the hips. Notice if you kind of get a little hippie with it. See if you can keep both hip bones roughly the same alignment there. Both sit bones roughly the same alignment. On your next exhale, how does it feel to bring the hands to heart as you bow forwards and twist? You could do this with the back knee to the earth once again if you wanted to. I'm going to see if I can snuggle left elbow outside of the right knee. Maybe you'll turn the gaze, maybe not. Thumbs to heart, right shoulder lifts. And one more breath. We're going to lower the hands to the inside of the right foot. Transition so that you start to pivot your toes towards the left side of your mat. Bend your back leg. So I've got the toes slightly turned out. Your left knee starts to bend. The right leg starts to straighten. But I've still got my toes on the right foot. That's the foot that was at the front of the mat, turning towards the left side. Walk your hands along the earth and try to activate through the inside of that right thigh. So if you happen to have two blocks and you need a little arm extension, both hands on the blocks just to give you a little bit more space there. So I've got left toes turned out a little bit. Maybe the right toes are slightly turned out. That's fine. Your left knee is bent, pushing it out to the left side. Right leg is straight. You do not have to add on here. It could be that actually having both legs straight is what you need. But I'm going to see if I can bring my right hand a little more towards the back edge of my mat, towards the left foot. And then see if I can start to lift my left hand towards the sky. So maybe you've got your right hand on a block. Maybe it's just fingertips to the earth. Maybe you've got your right hand more to center. You work it out here. Some of you might even be able to reach towards that left ankle, bend through the right forearm, and bring the whole of that right forearm and elbow to the ground. You've got one more breath. And then slowly look down, walk the hands towards the front edge of the mat.
pivot those toes towards the front. Let's step it up to the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift. Inhale and exhale to fold. Let's rise all the way up. Inhale and standing tall, hands to heart. Exhale. Just for the sake of it, let's add a little chair pose. Bend the knees, sweep the arms. Inhale and to the earth forward fold. Take a halfway lift in. Your choice how you might flow. Could be straight to downward dog. Maybe you'd like to take a jump, high to low plank. It is your time to find freedom in your body. In a moment or two, we'll be meeting in downward facing dog. When you reach your next inhale, lifting the left leg to the sky, bring left foot in between the hands. We're going to drop the back knee to the earth. If you need to, padding there. And then from here, keep your right hand to the ground, the left hand to the sky. So if you need to, left hand to the hip instead. Maybe you've got a block underneath that right hand, giving you a little extra lift and extension. Just seeing if you can begin to peel the left shoulder up, stack it on top of the right, and just finding a little bit of buoyancy, a little bit of lightness. So maybe your right hand is not flat with the palm, maybe you're just up on the fingertips, creating a little bit more of core control there. This might be enough. Maybe you bring your left hand to the hip, or perhaps you feel like you could start to bring the left shoulder back, left hand back. Perhaps this is enough. If you feel like you could go there on the other side, maybe you're just lifting the back foot, not even touching it. Perhaps you're able to grab hold of the foot with your hand, but do not worry if you're not here. Often it feels a little more obtainable to grab the foot when you're higher through the right hand. So having something underneath that right hand usually gives you a bit more space. Don't worry if you're not quite in the same shape as I am. You're just doing what feels right in your body. When you release, try to do so ever so gently. I'm going to keep my right toes tucked as I lower, and then bring the hands to the inside of that front foot. Actually, it's not. It's bringing hands either side of that front foot. Tuck the back toes as you hover the knee, hands to the sky, crescent lunge. So here again, pausing, feeling in, doing what you need to in terms of stabilizing through those legs, through the hips, through your core, and breathe. All right, hands to heart as you lean forwards and we twist. Could you snuggle a right elbow outside of that left knee? When we head into a pose like this, sometimes we kind of slouch and we drop one hip, lift the other, and kind of wiggle the sit bones out. So it might be that you're starting to wiggle your sit bones out towards the left side of your mat. Could you keep that left hip down and back in line with the right? So you might even bring left hand just onto that left hip for a moment, stabilizing. You could do this with the back knee to the earth. All right, this is where we're going to bring our hands to the inside of that left foot. So looking down, bring the hands down, and then start to pivot. So I'm turning the right toe slightly to the back of my mat. I bend through the right knee, and then I straighten through the left. You do what you need to with the left toes. They could be slightly turned out, maybe a bit more 90 degrees. So to begin with, I'm just seeing if I can bring my hands directly underneath my shoulders. Maybe you've got some little arm extenders there with the blocks. No need to twist just yet, just feel in. See if you can work the inner thigh on that left side. And feel the strength of your legs just holding you here.
Now, it might be that the left hand stays to center as you see if you can lift the right hand and the right shoulder. Maybe you bring the left hand closer to the back edge to your right foot, and then see if you can add the twist. Right shoulder lifts. Some of you might be able to drop down even lower. Left hand to that right ankle. The forearm drops to the earth. Do check in with that right knee. Try not to let it kind of collapse in towards you. See if you can keep pushing it out away from your body. One more breath wherever you've chosen to be. And then slowly lower the hands. We transition those hands towards the top edge of the mat. Pivot the left toes. Little hop, step to the top of the mat. And just let yourself melt. Forward fold. One more breath, just letting go. You begin to gently unravel all the way up. A little shrug of the shoulders and come to stand. Feeling into the earth, feeling into your breath, and just noticing that some blood has been flowing through the body a little more vigorously than perhaps 30 minutes ago. The breath may be a little more fluid. Maybe even the heart rate feels a little more active, or maybe not. So we will be transitioning into a little balance here. Nothing too technically difficult, but if you need to be off the mat on a surface that's more solid, feel free to do that. If you need to be near a wall for support, feel free to bring your hand and stand close to a prop, chair, wall, sofa, whatever you've got available. We're going to transition the weight into our right foot. So spread the toes out as always, and then think about strengthening the muscles in that right leg. So micro bend in the right knee. We'll start by just gathering the left knee up and in. So see what you can do, balancing on the right foot, drawing the left knee, shin in towards the body. Eyes focus onto something that doesn't move will help you, and making sure that the breath is continuous will also be a great guide and support. I'm just going to soften the grip here so that the knee just comes out horizontal. Basically, your arms will be straight. Your right hand's going to stay holding on to that left knee, and then the left hand will come towards the hip. So we're adding the twist again. So I'm not really shoving hands into the body. Again, like that seated twist, could you sort of use your hands as a guide, and then see if you can hold the twisted shape but soften the grip a little bit, and you just keep adding on there if you can, and it might be millimeter by millimeter, if that. Keep the breath steady. Try not to let the left knee draw across the body. Do what you need to through the left foot. At the moment, I'm flexing the foot. It feels kind of good and strong for me. If it's okay to finally extend the left hand behind you, you might choose to do that as you bring the gaze back. Sometimes that turning of the gaze is that one thing that really makes you topple over. So do that part last and slowly. And one more breath if you're able to join me. And then slowly softening and slowly releasing. And you do what you need to here. It could be that you do a big old wiggle out. You're at home, you can do whatever you want. It could be that you'd like to squat for a moment if that's something that feels comfy for you. Just releasing the muscles that were holding us tight in that solid balance. Now, whatever happened on that first time stays with that first side. The next side is a new adventure, and let's not have any expectations. I'm just rolling on up here. Okay, so this time onto the left foot, spread the toes out, shift the weight into that left foot, and let's start by just squeezing the right knee up and in, nice and tall here.
Getting a little hip flexor action. So what I did there is I started to look around with my eyes. If you can, keep your eyes nice and sort of solid on something that doesn't move a lot. That can often be a really great help for balance. So softening the grip, just letting your leg sort of drop out, extending the arms. Left hand stays holding onto the right knee, and just start by bringing the right hand to the hip. Check that your right knee stays facing forwards the whole time, and then just really slowly, in time, you'll start to bring the right shoulder back. No rush. You know what's happening here. We're just gently adding on to our twist. You might find that one side is a whole lot easier than the other. If, like me, you've got a wall next to you, try to focus on something that isn't the wall with your gaze. If you feel like you can go there, extending that right arm back behind you. And then slow and steady, bringing the hand back in if you've gone for that extension, and slow and steady, releasing. Give it a little wiggle out. And whatever you need to do. Just know that balance can be really different day to day. If we're feeling a little bit under the weather, often that plays around with our balance. I've heard about that inner ear balance, and it's a really big part of our balance. Also, just if you're sort of really stressed or thinking about 100 things, that is definitely a way to topple over in your balances. Okay, we're going to come and meet in downward facing dog. So you're just going to take a journey back however you would like to. From downward dog, perhaps you snuggle into child's pose or take your last flow here. And then this time we're going to meet onto our backs. So you choose how you might like to get there. It could be a little hop up across the legs. Slowly transition, getting the hips to the earth. And slowly land onto your spine. I'm going to invite you to lay really nice and neutral on your spine there. Keep your right foot into the ground and then extend your left leg up into the sky. So maybe you could interlace fingers at the base of that left thigh. Maybe you're just sort of holding on here. If you happen to have a strap nearby and that's easier, grab it, bring it behind the back of the leg. So at the moment I'm seeing if I can flex my left foot. You'll just do what you can here. If you find that that's particularly easy, you might bring the hands higher towards the ankle. If you feel like you want to add in just that little bit more, little core, you're going to tuck forehead up and in towards that left shin, hovering the shoulders off the earth, but you don't have to go here. 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. Lowering the head, the shoulders if you lifted them. And then I'm just going to spread my arms out here. I'm going to shimmy a bit away from my wall. And then if it feels good, you could also shimmy your hips slightly to the left side. And then start to take a bind as you drop left leg over the top of the right. If you're not a bind fan, don't bind. Just stack one knee on top of the other into our spinal twist, our final twist. Reclined twist. If it feels good to turn the gaze, go for it. If you've noticed that the breath at this moment's become really caught, maybe you need to back away a little bit, or perhaps rearrange what parts of your rib cage moves with breath so that the lungs can still work dynamically. And just a couple more breaths, seeing if there is any more space to fill into. then ever so gently bringing your way back up through to center. Come to pause before you march on through to the other side, just feeling the release. If it feels good to sigh, go for a cleansing release of breath. And then soles of feet to the earth, knees are bent. This time it'll be left foot to the floor, right leg to the sky. Maybe you grip on low the back of that right thigh. And no rush, but if you feel like you can take your hands higher, see what that feels like. Maybe you can keep the right foot flexed. And then only if and when it feels right for you, maybe you start to lift head and shoulders up off the ground. Perhaps attempting to tuck forehead towards that right shin. Do not worry about having to match my shape here. And then slowly softening head and shoulders. I'm going to take a bind. My right leg over the top of the left, shimmying my hips slightly towards the right side feels good for me. And then dropping the knees down to the left side. And just melting in. And let's go for one more breath. And slowly, with ease, working your way back through to center. It is time for us to set up for our final pose of Shavasana. So gather whatever you need here to feel really comfy, cozy, and at ease. As you settle back, maybe it feels right to put something over your eyes or just take a couple of deep sighs again. And just starting to become aware of the sensation of the breath flowing through you once again. Until it can start to revitalize your fingers, your toes. Perhaps in time you'll add a really big stretch. And perhaps a nice big sigh. Slowly rolling to the side, just taking your time. Bringing your way up to seated, coming to meet me, sitting tall. Finding connection within, a little peaceful message towards yourself. Today we join in a bow of acknowledgement. I bow to you. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like it below, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon. Not only will this keep you up to date with my offerings, but will keep content like Tula being free and accessible to all.